catcher. Save.
Welcome to the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Tonight, Milwaukee visits Boston.
Yelly delivers in the clutch.
We'll preview tonight's matchup on the mound.
I think it shows, the growth that I've come from last year. Last year I would not have been able to do that. And so it's, there's a step in the right direction with it all.
Thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, we got a good lineup. We got guys who are going to get on base, steal bases, play good defense.
And all of the storylines heading into tonight's game.
We've seen that skit for the last 10 years. It's nothing new, not surprising.
Next time they hit me again, I'm going to take one of them out.
So let's get to it.
I mean, we have the best fans in the world.
Here's your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
Game 2 between the Brewers and the Red Sox at Fenway Park, just over an hour and 15 minutes away. Welcome on in. It's time to talk about not only what's going to happen tonight, possibly, when these two teams start playing each other again at 5:45, but also look back at what happened last night, because it was dramatic at Fenway Park in Game 1 between Milwaukee and Boston. Thanks so much for tuning in. Excited to bring you an hour packed of audio from Fenway Park, a preview of tonight's matchup on the mound, and, of course, get you the starting lineups right off the bat here before we go any further, because a little bit of a hint for tonight. The starting lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers different than all the other starting lineups in the first 10 games of the season. This is the 11th starting lineup of the season. The team is 8-2 coming into tonight. Red Sox 2-8. But for the first time in the first 11 lineups of 2026, Bryce Terang is not leading off and playing second base. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's get you the starting lineups for both of these teams tonight at Fenway Park, as Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Brewers, 1-0 with a 2.45 ERA, and Garrett Crochet on the mound for the Boston Red Sox. He's 1-1 with a 3.27 ERA. Both of these starters have thrown 2 starts this season. We'll get back to those numbers at some point in the show. Let's get you the starting lineup for the visiting team, the Milwaukee Brewers. And although he's been dealing with a little bit of a hip thing, sounds like he's pretty much all good now. Brandon Lockridge is going to lead off for the Brewers. Once again, the first time this season that Bryce Terang is not leading off and playing second base for the Milwaukee Brewers. It'll be Brandon Lockridge, who is in left field. Batting second and behind the plate, Willson Contreras. Batting third at third base, Luis Rengifo. Batting cleanup and at first base, Gary Sanchez. Batting fifth and at shortstop, Joey Ortiz. Batting sixth as the designated hitter, Luis Matos. Batting seventh in right field, Sal Frelick. Batting eighth in center field, Blake Perkins. And batting ninth at second base is David Hamilton. So for the Brewers, it's Lockridge, Contreras, Rengifo, Sanchez, Ortiz, Matos, Frelick, Perkins, and Hamilton. Yes, you heard that correctly. There is no Yelich, there is no Terang, and there is no Garrett Mitchell. All 3 lefties not in the starting lineup against lefty Garrett Crochet. Now, would think Yelich is going to be available off the bench. Sounds like Bryce Terang likely not available off the bench. He's been dealing with an ankle/foot injury. Sounds like he's going to get the whole day. We'll hear Pat Murphy's pregame comments on Bryce Terang here in just a little while, so stay tuned for that. The Boston Red Sox will line up like this. Batting first as the designated hitter is Roman Anthony. Batting second in left field, Jarren Duran. Batting third and at first base, Willson Contreras. Batting fourth and in right field, Wilyer Abreu. He's the cleanup hitter. Batting fifth at shortstop, Trevor Story. Batting sixth at second base, Marcelo Mayer. Batting seventh in center field, Cedar Rafaela. Batting eighth and behind the plate, Connor Wong. And batting ninth and at third base, Isaiah Kiner Falefa. So for the Red Sox, it's Anthony, Duran, Contreras, Abreu, Story, Mayer, Rafaela, Wong, and Kiner Falefa. That is the starting lineup for the Boston Red Sox tonight. And again, highlighted by Mr. Willson Contreras. Why? Well, of course, because last night was quite dramatic with Mr. Willson Contreras, huh? And I know we usually do our game recap here, but I think instead it's more so let's focus on what everybody's talking about today, and that is the drama between Willson Contreras and the Milwaukee Brewers that once again happened last night. This has been a saga that has been going on for the better part of the last decade between the Brewers and Willson Contreras. Of course, if you have not seen or heard what has been going on, a quick synopsis. Bottom of the third inning last night with 2 on and nobody out. The first pitch of the at-bat from Brandon Woodruff to Willson Contreras hits Willson Contreras. Now, a couple things with this. Why was Contreras upset? Okay, let's go through the Red Sox side, the Willson Contreras side, and the Brewers side of this. And then we're going to hear from Willson Contreras because he had about 4.5 minutes with reporters. And I think it's interesting because it's insight into what he's thinking, why he's complaining so much, why he's so mad at the Brewers. It's insight into that. So first of all, why, on the outset, right away, why was Willson Contreras upset? Well, he's hitting the first pitch of that bat. Okay. He's been hit 24 times by the Milwaukee Brewers in his career. Okay. He's been hit 6 times by Brandon Woodruff in his career. Okay. Here's the list of why he shouldn't be upset after that, okay? Brandon Woodruff is not trying to load the bases with nobody out, down 1-0 in the third inning. Woodruff had not found it yet. He was still struggling a little bit at that time in the game. After hitting Willson Contreras, Woodruff asked the umpire if the ball even hit him, and then the Brewers went and challenged. You think it was intentional if, number one, it just grazed your hand? Number 2, Woodruff asked the umpire, did it even hit him? And number 3, the Brewers then challenged if it even hit you? You think it's intentional? And here's the thing about it. I get it in the moment. You're like, oh my gosh, if you're Willson, oh, they hit me again. Oh, they did it again, right? 24th time in my career. That is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. That is wild. Now, some of those are different types of spats between the two teams over the years. I get it, right? Your natural reaction is to be upset. But then to be going to first and go to first and start yelling again. And then the slide into second base, that was very dirty. I know it was probably legal, but it was still dirty to have the spikes up and cut David Hamilton's pant leg. To then do all of that and then be yelling from the dugout as well when Pat Murphy's talking to the umpires about Contreras' slide at second base. For all of that to happen afterwards, I get it. If you get hit and you kind of yell and you throw your bat down and, oh, man, you walk to first base, cooler heads prevail. All right, move on. But that's not what he did. Because not only did he have all those antics after getting to first base, he also doubled down on just about everything after the game. Let's hear from Willson Contreras. This is courtesy of Nesson in Boston. This is about 4.5 minutes of Willson Contreras, but I think it gives you a really good insight into the mind of Mr. Willson Contreras. Take a listen.
It's not just a hit by pitch. That's the 24th time that they hit me in my career, 24th. And that's the 6th time they hit me. And they always say, I'm not trying to hit you. That get old. So next time they hit me again, I'm going to take one of them out. That's what happened. That's a message.
What did Woodruff say he was?
Nothing. I just didn't do anything else or because it was early in the game. But I took exception of it. I know my brother was behind me. So I was like, okay, he hit me. See what happens next.
Alex also said he needs to keep you in the game.
Yeah. I mean, nobody likes getting hit at any point. But like I said, I took exception with it. The 24th time. It's not coincidence. They're going there with a purpose. And that's fine. And that's fine. That's pitching. But next time you hit me, the message is clear. I'm going to take one of them out.
Take that slide a little purposeful on your part?
I wouldn't say purposely because he stayed in the back. And that was a perfect legal slide. Thank you.
Where does all of this Brewers versus you kind of stuff? Like, was it something specific that started all of this all the way back then, or is it always been there?
He didn't get in 24 hit by pitch by the same team from back in 2016. I mean, I don't think any other team has hit me as much as them. And I don't care what they call it. I don't care what they said. The only thing I care is my health. But if they don't care about my health, and they, like I said, they hit me again, I'm gonna try to take one of them out.
Have you talked to William
you about this?
To William?
Yeah.
No, we don't need to talk about it.
Did you reach base every time after that? Like, is it difficult when you are obviously upset about being hit by a pitch do you feel like it sharpens your focus to be angry or in that moment or the rest of the game? Or?
I mean, I think I had to stay focused the whole game. I know it was we were up by a few runs and then they came back. But like I said, I think the first day when sometimes when I play angry, I play better. I don't know why, but that's who I am.
Do you think that being fired off will help the team to find things?
I mean, we need to find a way to win for sure. I know we work ethic, our responsibilities there. We want to win. It will turn around, but we need to find that spark, a little spark, to turn around.
The first time you talked to us after the trade over Zoom, you told us that you're a guy that's not looking to make friends with guys on other teams. You're just here to help your team win, and you're not trying to be friendly and everything. Are the Brewers kind of like that team for you that really drive home that point for you?
It's different with them. I won't lie. It's different with them. Like I said, and actually I talked to I can't remember if it was Monasterio or Rafaela, and I said this guy's gonna hit me today for sure, and they did. And that's gonna happen maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but they're gonna hit me again, and we'll see what happens.
So you had this kind of circled in your calendar. Just worried.
When they come to town, we go there. It's a different mindset for sure.
How much is it brewing, I guess, frustration-wise for the group? Because it seems like you just haven't been able to put a game together completely.
Yeah, I wouldn't call frustration. I would call it we are thinking of finding a way to win. How can we get better on the field? What we need to do better? What details are getting out of our hands that we're not seeing? I think that's our mindset right now. Of course, losing sucks, like I said before. But this a big team who historically is a winning team, and they don't always have the best start, but they finish strong. There's a lot of games left. The season is still until October, but we need to find the focus right now.
All right, there he is, Willson Contreras, last night after the game. Obviously, the biggest takeaway is that if he gets hit again, he's going to take someone out. And he didn't just say that once; he said that multiple times. That's interesting. So here's a little a glimpse into what goes into my mind when I hear that. Okay, so he literally said, "If they hit me again, I'm going to try and take one of them out." That multiple times in an interview. So players in sports, or managers or coaches for that matter, get fined for criticizing referees, right? They criticize a call, they get fined. They criticize something, a referee did, they get a penalty for it. Sometimes if they even do something egregious, they'll get suspended for it. But most of the time it's just a fine. And sometimes we don't even hear about a fine. But they get fined and players know about it, right? When we talked to Jake Bauers after that wild call by CB Buckner last week against the Tampa Bay Rays, right? When Jake Bauers clearly touched first base, CB Buckner wasn't looking. They reviewed it. We talked to Jake Bauers, and one of his quotes in that interview, that 2 to 3 minute session we had with him, was, "You guys are trying to get me in trouble, man." The players know it, right? If you criticize an official, you're likely to get fined. But you can go out and threaten another player or team, and it's just ho-hum. We just move on. I mean, come on. I mean, what are we doing? That's a literal threat. So, look, I get things are said in the heat of battle. Do I think that Willson could try to take a Brewer out? Yes. Do I think it'd be his brother? No. If Mizorowski accidentally hits him tonight, could that Could that turn ugly fast? Yes. I just don't get it. Why is that just okay? And you could say, well, maybe they did find him under the table. I think we'd hear about that. I am pretty sure that we would hear about that. So that's one of my takeaways. And something I've always disliked about sports is how you can't criticize the officials. Like there's some, higher power that cannot be criticized. And then on top of that, we can threaten other players and teams and be just fine with it. Come on now. By the way, another takeaway from that was that he and William don't talk about it. Okay. I'm sure they've had words over the years, not necessarily like fighting words, but just words about it. I'm sure they've talked about it to some extent. I'm sure when William was traded over to the Brewers, one of the first texts he might have received from Willson was maybe a little bit about, hey, that's the team that's hit me a bunch in my career. And I would have thought maybe it would die down with William on the team. I mean, it's awkward for William. It's got to be awkward for everybody else too. When William was asked about it last night, he was just like, he was asked, did you try to calm him down on the way to first base? You could see William trying to kind of, stay in between Woodruff and Willson, although Woodruff really wasn't having much of it. But William was like, yeah, it's kind of impossible. It's just the way he plays. Also, he said the Brewers don't care about his health. I'd ask Willson if he cared about Caleb Durbin's health when he basically body checked him at first base last year. I would also wonder if that would be the case, or some of the other dirty plays. Or how about caring about David Hamilton's health last night when you slid into second base with your spikes up? So, and it's ironic now that Caleb Durbin is, of course, on his team. How about the Brewers side of things? This is what Christian Yelich had to say last night. I think it was, as much as the quote of the night was probably that he's going to try to take a Brewer out if he's hit again, this was a great quote by Yelich, too.
We've seen that skit for the last 10 years. It's nothing new, not surprising. And you just keep it rolling. You got a game to win and, lock the boys in, rally the troops. And we knew we had 6 innings left to play with there at that time, and we responded with 4 right there. And, ended up being a great ball game back and forth, and glad we came out on top.
We've seen that skit for the last 10 years. Just gold from Christian Yelich. And he's not one to usually say that. I was listening to Corey Knebel, who played with Christian Yelich, of course. You know him, 2017 All-Star. Does a Brewer Territory podcast with Kurt Hogue of the Journal Sentinel. And I was listening to them discuss this situation this morning, Kurt Hogue and Corey Knebel. And they were discussing, of course, the situation. He was discussing how this is, when Yelich says something like that, he's bothered. You also saw how fired up Yelich was when he got into home plate last night. Rally the troops. Yelich has been in this rivalry with Willson Contreras for as long as anybody. Woodruff as well. And you look at those numbers. Woodruff has hit Willson 6 times. He's been hit by the Brewers 24 times. Part of that is he's been in the division for that long, right? He's been with the Cubs, been with the Cardinals, right? So he's been with those teams for that long. And so when you're playing the Brewers and these other teams in the NL Central that much, you're probably going to get hit by them the most. However, it is a bit egregious because I think the next team that's hit Contreras the most is like the Reds at 14. So it's like a 10 pitch difference. So there is a little bit to that. But again, he's had these antics. And the second part of that, and one thing, and I want to give Corey Knebel credit on this because when I was listening to the podcast, I picked this up this morning. Where do pitchers try and attack Willson Contreras? Up and in. That's kind of the zone where he can swing and miss a lot. And he's tempted to swing and doesn't make a lot of good contact up there. Where was Woody going last night? Up and in. So, and what has Willson been known to do over the years too? Crowd the plate. So there's all of these different factors that go into this. And it's not just they're trying to bean Willson Contreras every single time he's up at the plate. This is what Brandon Woodruff had to say last night.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through that. This is 9 years for me, and it seems like every year. Just he's trying to play a game and he's trying to get his side fired up, which is fine. But once I knew what was going on, I wasn't going to let it affect me on the mound. I knew I had a job to do.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a job to do, and he did it well, pitching into the 6th inning, which was huge. 2 outs, getting those 2 outs in the 6th inning, getting through the 5th really quickly so he could get out for the 6th, because the Brewers knew they had a short pen last night, and they couldn't afford to get Woody thrown out. They couldn't afford to have Woody have a short start. And despite maybe the box score and what you see of Brandon Woodruff last night, it was much, much better than what that box score is. And I'm not saying that he pitched great. I'm saying that he pitched probably solid last night. Could be a lot better. Obviously, people are going to, I saw this on social media last night. We're paying this guy $22 billion. He should be better than this. I get it. We're only 2 starts into the season. Okay. So let's make sure we're looking at that as well. But not a lot of guys can pitch the way he did, go through the highs and lows of those first few innings and get through 2 outs in the 6th inning. Pat Murphy loved what he saw from his veterans, Brandon Woodruff and Christian Yelich last night.
Woody going out and getting out of the 5th the way he did quickly, and then going out for the 6th. That's what leadership is. Leadership on the field. Anyways, to have Yelly come out and play the game that he did tonight, that's leadership on the field. It's not just what you say or how much. It's not just your baseball card. He's proven it tonight.
Yeah, so I think both Yelich and Woodruff leading on the field last night, and that was a big part of the Brewers' 8-6 win over the Red Sox. They are now 8-2. That's the 4th time in franchise history they went 8-2, tied for the 2nd best start in franchise history. Of course, the 10-0 start is the top one. But, man, this has been a really good start for the Milwaukee Brewers. 8-2. Finding a way, down 3-0. You score 4 runs in that inning, last night in that 4th inning without a ball going out of the infield. That is quite impressive. So we move to tonight. And the Brewers and the Red Sox with Willson Contreras batting 3rd for the Boston Red Sox and playing first base. So before the game today in Boston, Pat Murphy was asked about Jacob Misiorowski, and do you say anything to him before the game tonight, knowing the emotions going into the game, especially because of young pitcher? So here's a little bit of question and answer with Pat Murphy pregame with MLB.com's Adam McCalvy.
Murph, because Miz is still kind of finding his way in the league,
no doubt,
and because your pitching is what it is,
mm-hmm.
when there's heightened emotions like last night,
mm-hmm.
what do you tell him going into a night like tonight where you probably need some innings from him? Do you say anything?
Well, we're never going to tell a guy to hit another guy. We're not going to do that. We haven't hit anybody on purpose. That's not our thing. People can debate that if they want to debate that. That's fine. We can get in and debate all day. All I'm telling you is that Miz has got a job to do for the Milwaukee Brewers. Period. End of story. This is a great test for him and a great opportunity. Control your emotions. Don't worry about the stuff you can't control. Make pitches. Give us innings. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't tell him to hit anybody. I'm wondering if it's the other way around. You worry he might want a young player, not him, a young player might want to take something into his own hands that he thinks is the right thing to do.
Yeah, right. Well, that you got to talk to him. You got to educate him. That's part of it. We got a long haul here. A long haul with what seems to be a great bunch to step up. Look at having Churio down and having Vaughn down. Look at the way some of these other guys have stepped up.
So I think the main sentence of that is he's got a job to do for the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. And that is obviously to go and try to win a baseball game and give his best effort out there. Now, part of Jacob Misiorowski's game is to be a little erratic. So that's just something to watch tonight. Because I think even if Willson gets hit, not on purpose, and as Pat Murphy said, they never intentionally throw at anybody. Take that for what you will. I think last night they weren't throwing at Willson last night. Now, the fact that it was the first pitch of the at-bat, okay, like I could see how you could make an argument a little bit, but again, that situation, that just ain't gonna happen. And like Murph said, that is not the Brewers' way. But again, Misiorowski can be a little erratic at times. What's his, the main downfall so far in his baseball career has been control. So something to watch tonight. Because again, I do think if Willson gets hit, he's going to at least, I don't know. Well, I don't know what he's going to do, but just the fact that he can just come out and threaten to like take someone out on a baseball field and nothing happens. I still shake my head at that. Anyway, so that is what happened last night and how it spills over to tonight's game between the Brewers and the Red Sox. 5:45 first pitch at Fenway Park, Central Time, Fenway Park, here tonight. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more from Pat Murphy's pregame session with the media in Boston. First of all, want to give you a little insight into what he said about the bullpen, because he went into kind of deeper with reporters today about how he sees the bullpen usage, when they want to use certain pitchers, and then also talked about Aaron Ashby's usage, because I know a lot of people are already a little bit concerned about how much Aaron Ashby is used. We saw how much he was used, especially late in the season last year. And Pat Murphy says it's very much on his mind, and we'll hear him talk about that. We'll also hear an update on Bryce Terang. He is not in the lineup tonight. Should we be concerned? We'll talk about that. We'll get you the lineups again as well as we continue the baseball pregame show presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. We will be right back with more of the baseball pregame show on Fox Sports 920.
Milwaukee fans, we're getting you ready for the game. This is the Baseball Pregame Show with Hunter Baumgardt, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894.
Brewers and Red Sox at Fenway Park, about 45 minutes away. Game 2 of the series. Brewers took game 1 8-6 last night. Brewers are 8-2 to start the season. Red Sox 2-8. Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Brewers tonight against Garrett Crochet, the lefty, on the mound for the Red Sox. And that means lefties not really in the lineup for the Crew tonight. Christian Yelich, Bryce Terang, Garrett Mitchell, all not in the lineup tonight. And maybe most notably, it is Bryce Terang who's not in the lineup tonight. And he has been playing second base and leading off in every game so far. And that will end tonight. Brandon Lockridge leading things off for the Brewers tonight, and David Hamilton over at second base. Sounds like Bryce Terang may be dealing with a little bit of an ankle/foot injury, a little bothersome. Tough to say. This is what Pat Murphy had to say about it.
This has been going on for about a week now. It's his foot, ankle, foot type thing. You'll hear more about it. I bet.
And that there's a move coming?
No. You'll hear more about it.
I don't know if I love that very much. Just considering the fact that he said you'll hear more about that and use the word ominous. But then when Adam McCalvey of MLB.com asked, so there's a move coming? He said no. So it doesn't sound like an IL stint, but we'll hear more about it? I don't think he plays tonight. Maybe they even give him the day off tomorrow and then get him ready for Friday. And he had talked a little bit elsewhere in his pregame session just about how you have to give guys days even when you don't want to, right? Terang has been a key part of the success. He hasn't played as well on this road trip, and I do wonder if this has been affecting him. You look at the numbers on the road trip compared to the homestand, and they're not as good. And I do wonder if that has been one of the reasons why. He did steal a base last night. So, I mean, he's been playing through it. He's been all right, but not a bad time to give him a day off when you're facing an ace lefty like Garrett Crochet. He was the opening day starter for the Boston Red Sox. So we'll see, but hopefully the next time we hear about that, it's good news and not bad news, but I don't love how Pat Murphy talked about that. Also, speaking of Pat Murphy, let's hear a couple of more clips here on the Baseball Pregame Show on WOKY AM Milwaukee, Fox Sports 920. Hunter Baumgardt with you. Happy to have you along as we get you set for Brewers and Red Sox. Pat Murphy talked about the bullpen, okay? Because last night we talked about it on the show. The bullpen was pretty thin considering the 3 games in 2 days in Kansas City, using their high leverage guys. You saw last night Angel Serpa get the save. It was his first career save last night for the Milwaukee Brewers, but first career save overall for Angel Serpa. So he was asked about the bullpen, and this is about a minute, and it just kind of gives you an insight as to how Pat Murphy and the Brewers manage their bullpen.
Do you anticipate the pen being a little bit more whole tonight after you got last night?
Not so much.
No?
No, I mean, if you look at one of the ways we keep it, you got to know where everything is. One of the ways we keep it is this way. So it's kind of like this is, hey, he got hot. Hey, he got up and played catch. So we kind of know when you look at some of these guys like Uribe, 6 times in the last 9 days, he's been active. So, day off, that's kind of tough. Whereas Zerpa, back-to-backs, probably want to stay away from him. You don't want to go 3 in a row. McGill's coming off back-to-back. Drohan's fresh. Koenig's not with us. Anderson back-to-back. Hall's fresh. Woodford's fresh. So other than Hall, Woodford, and Drohan, that makes them. Ashby can't go. He went 1+. Can't do that back-to-back this early in the season.
So it sounds like they're maybe not as fresh as we maybe anticipated after they got through last night with Woodruff, Ashby, Grant Anderson, and then Angel Serpa last night. But I'll tell you that, it's interesting because remember, it's not just who pitches in the games. It's also who they get up in the bullpen. So something to keep in mind as we move forward. Now, Aaron Ashby, it's interesting. He has been kind of the topic of conversation, I think, for a lot of people to start the season, and rightfully so, because we saw what happened last year. He basically pitched, it felt like, every single day for like the last 2 months of the season. But the thing was, he was pretty effective doing that. However, we're really early in the season. You don't want to do that too early in the season. So here is Pat Murphy talking about how he balances Aaron Ashby's usage with, Aaron Ashby himself wanting to pitch as much as possible.
You have to balance it because what he likes is not that important to us. It's what's best for him and what's best for the club. So just kind of balancing like, hey, this has been a big workload. Here's how the ball's coming out. It's not just checking the velocity. Where's he at? How sharp is that? It still might be 96, but it's a little dull on the movement. He's got to rely on movement. And he's just learning, which is a great part, but he's in a good frame of mind. He's been an absolute key this early part.
What's the main thing to go off with him, and if he's available that day or not?
How much he threw the day before, most likely. If he got into the third up, that's not good. He wouldn't be pitching. If he gets into the second up, we probably want to give him a day. I think we've given him a day every time he's went up 1+. I'll tell you exactly. Yes, we have. Every time he's went 1+, he's had a day. But there's a day 2 and 24. We gave him just 1 day, and then he pitched 1 and 9. So he was 1+ yesterday. I bet that was 4-6, right? And he had a day off, but he's coming off 2 for 41. So I bet today he comes in and we've got the E next to him, the emergency. Emergency only, because it gets thin when your starters aren't giving you. That's why Woody. Somebody asked me a question today about Woody, like how important was that to get in the 5th and then the 6th? That's leadership. Hey boys, I know this line isn't going to be pretty, but I'm going to stay out here for you because I know what the situation is. To me, that was a huge part of the win. Great question. Great.
So something there to keep in mind, right? It kind of, as much as you want to keep guys to their full rest and want to give him a day here and a day there, he still has the E next to him after he was pitching. He pitched an inning plus last night, did Aaron Ashby, and he's got the E next to him because, like you said, you can get thin at times. But I think it's interesting. He's like, it's not about necessarily what Ashby wants. It's about what's good for him, what's good for us, and somehow, making that work. And it seems Aaron Ashby has went from wanting to be a starter, and obviously he's always said he wants to help the team win. But I think you talk to a lot of those pitchers, and they would have pictured themselves as starters. But Aaron Ashby has carved out this niche role where he can go long because he has that starter mentality, that starter buildup, and he has been effective in the short-term relief where, you can go 1, 2, or even 3 innings and be effective. Maybe not every night, but he can go an inning a couple nights in a row, or go 2 innings and then take a day and then go another inning. So that's big, especially like when Pat Murphy said there, your starters aren't going too deep. But Woodruff going into the 6th inning, getting 2 outs in the 6th inning last night was big, not only for last night's game, but tonight's game as well. And so we'll see how tonight goes. Depending on score, obviously depends on who you see. But McGill pitched Saturday, Sunday. You'd love to give him one more day. Same with Uribe. Uribe's been up 6 of the last 9 days, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So all things to keep in mind. I mean, you look at, and the Brewers dominated their first couple of series, but the Royals games, the win 5-2 on Saturday. Then you had a win, closer win on Sunday. I believe another 8-5 win and then an 8-6 win, right? These games have been in that closer type range, the 2-3, right? The 2-3 run range, which is right in your leverage reliever role, guys. And that's when you'd bring them in. So interesting from Pat Murphy there. All right. Want you to hear from an old friend, and that is Caleb Durbin. The local media had a chance to catch up with him in Boston in the Red Sox clubhouse before the game today. Durbin has not had the type of season he's wanted so far, 4 for 32 with a 125 batting average in Boston. However, half of his hits did come last night. He had a single and a double last night against the Brewers, but also aided them with an error in that 4-run inning. This is what Caleb Durbin had to say to reporters. It's interesting. You hear a little bit about how the trade went down, where he was when he found out about the trade. Also, what Pat Murphy instilled in him as he went out the door and what he still uses, how the Red Sox view the Brewers. Really interesting stuff from Caleb Durbin. So enjoy a few minutes here with the former Brewer third baseman.
Yeah, it happened quick. I mean, it's there's an adjustment period, no doubt, but as far as the team goes, it's been great. Everyone's great here. The teammates, staff, everything about Boston's been really cool to experience so far. So looking forward to kind of getting acclimated a little bit more into a bigger city than I'm used to. So, but for me, like, it all comes in time, it just takes time to get acclimated. And, we were playing games on the road before I even set foot in Boston. So this road stand's been, really helpful and just kind of getting settled in a little bit, sleeping in my own bed again. So it's good though, different than Milwaukee, but, it's good.
I was going to say sleeping in your own bed, which wasn't your bed.
Wasn't even my bed. Yeah, it's now my bed. But yeah, definitely a new normal.
I don't know if anyone's ever expecting the trade, but this one catch my surprise.
Yeah, I was in Arizona for that week, getting ready for spring training, and that in itself is a process, getting that, moving into your spot for spring training, and then a week later move into another spot. Wish the Red Sox were in Arizona too, but yeah, that was a transition in itself to go Arizona to Florida, and then luckily wasn't too late in the spring. It was right in the beginning to where I was able to kind of have a really good spring training with the Red Sox. So yeah.
I heard that you had a roommate, right? And they were there when you got traded. Someone told me they were.
I was with Lockridge.
Yeah,
I was living with Brandon, and one of our other buddies from a different team, and we're on our way to go to the stadium for practice, and I walked out and told him I got traded because it happened early in the morning, like 7 o'clock. I got the call, so it was early that Monday morning. That would have been the first start of the first week of spring.
Yeah.
So
crazy. And was it Matt calling or who?
Matt? Yeah. Matt called me, and then I actually still went into the facility that day to kind of pack all my stuff up. Was able to say bye to all the guys, so that was nice.
Imagine Murph is still taking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that conversation with him?
I mean, it was nice. Like, obviously, had a good relationship with Murph. He has a good relationship with all his players. That's one of his strengths. So, yeah, he texted me right after, and then was able to see him in person at the clubhouse, which was nice. Really seeing all those guys and saying, your goodbyes. It was my first year in the big league, so it holds a special place in my heart for sure. But it's kind of the nature of it, right? Nature of the beast. So just look forward to the opportunity that I have here.
What are some of the things that you took from Murph that you learned last year that you brought here? Anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like in a business where it's so numbers focused and, obviously production on the field is huge. He really made an emphasis about the person playing the game and the relationships you build that can, that you build throughout the course of a season, that's, a very underrated part of the game. And that's just kind of the culture he's able to kind of build over there. And something that I'm really grateful I got to experience and learn a lot from, to kind of, that I can use and kind of bring to the table to different teams that I play for.
How did it help you having such an advocate for a manager. Like, kind of an unusual level of belief and public belief too.
Yeah. I mean that goes a long way. I think when you're trying to break out into the big leagues, and I mean, you guys were there. Definitely had some similar to here, honestly, to where personally and team wise scuffling a little bit going in, really up until that late May period. Where we were able to turn things around. And that's just a testament to, him being able to stay the course with us and believe in all his guys. I think that's, like I said, that's a big strength of his, is he uses what he has and kind of makes the most of it.
I don't know if this is the thing players talk about, but when you came over here, did anybody ask you about playing there? And because everybody's always asking, what's the secret sauce?
Yeah.
Anybody here talk about that?
Not initially. I know this series, just kind of given the run. I mean, it's the cat's out of the bag. Like, everyone knows the kind of the way the Brewers play.
Yeah.
Especially after the run, they had last year. But I think it's there's more attention from other teams with the Brewers than is maybe perceived. Like, they're not shocking anyone this year, you know what I mean? So whether we did or not last year, I was on the inside at the time, and now I'm on the outside, and no one's taking these guys lightly. I'll tell you that much.
So are you implying that perhaps the manager's insistence that they're the underdogs is a little
it's
inside motivation?
Yeah, I think so. I think whatever his reasoning behind, his motivation for that is I mean, he knows what he's doing over there, obviously, but on the outside, I don't think any teams are taking him lightly.
There he is, Caleb Durbin, now Red Sox third baseman. A little bit of what he had to say to reporters. Always great to hear from him and to hear him talk about Murph. And I tell you, there's going to be a lot of young players who look back at this time on their career, and I think they realize it now. But a Sal Frelick, a Bryce Terang, some of these guys who maybe in 10, 15 years are going to say, that guy had a lot of impact on my career. So looking forward to that as time goes on. All right, got to take a quick break. Come back, give you the lineups one more time. It's Brewers and Red Sox, 5:45 first pitch at Fenway Park. This is the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. We'll be right back on Fox Sports 920.
Milwaukee takes the field in a matter of minutes. It's time to take a look at tonight's lineup on the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Here's Hunter Baumgardt.
Let's take a look at those lineups one more time before we sign off for the evening. And it's Brewers and Red Sox at 5:45. Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Brewers. Garrett Crochet on the mound for the Red Sox. Should be a dandy of a pitching matchup at Fenway Park tonight. Mizorowski starts so far this season. Pitched against the White Sox. Opening day, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 11 Ks. Against Tampa, he went an inning more, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Garrett Crochet was the opening day starter for the Red Sox. He was at Cincinnati, 6 innings, no earned runs, but then he was roughed up in Houston, 5 innings, 4 earned runs there. For the Brewers, their starting lineup looks like this. Leading off in left field, Brandon Lockridge. Batting second behind the plate, Willson Contreras. Batting third at third base, Luis Rengifo. Batting fourth at first base, Gary Sanchez. Batting fifth at shortstop, Joey Ortiz. Batting sixth and as the designated hitter, Luis Matos. Batting seventh in right field, Sal Frelick. Batting eighth in center field, Blake Perkins. And batting ninth at second base is David Hamilton. Lockridge, Contreras, Rengifo, Sanchez, Ortiz, Matos, Frelick, Perkins, and Hamilton. For the Boston Red Sox, it's DH Roman Anthony leading things off, followed by left fielder Jarren Duran. Batting third and at first base, yes, Willson Contreras. Batting cleanup and in right field, Wilyer Abreu. Batting fifth at shortstop, Trevor Story. Batting sixth at second base, Marcelo Mayer. Batting seventh in center field, Cedar Rafaela. Batting eighth and behind the plate, Connor Wong. And batting ninth and at third base, Isaiah Kiner Falefa. For the Red Sox, it's Anthony Duran Contreras, Abreu Story Mayer, Rafaela Wong, and Kiner Falefa. Brewers 8-2, Red Sox 2-8. Game 1 went to the Brewers. 8-6 was the final, with drama and intrigue. Willson Contreras not happy with the crew. What will happen tonight? We shall see. But either way, looking forward to talking to you next on the Baseball Pregame Show. Coming up on Friday at 5:30. We'll have a 5:30 to 6:30 show before the Brewers take on the Nationals here in Milwaukee. No baseball, no Milwaukee baseball tonight on Thursday because Badgers hockey is on the air on Fox Sports 920 here in Milwaukee. They play in the Frozen Four on Thursday afternoon. This has been the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded. I'm Hunter Baumgardt on Fox Sports 920.